carshowclassic.com.
Hello, my name is Manfred Grunert. I'm the spokesperson for heritage subjects at BMW Group. We're in the BMW Museum, and behind me you see one of the icons of BMW car history. It's the BMW M1, the founder of the M story, or as he called, the most sportive leather of the world. The M1, the idea of the M1 is a little bit older than the M1 itself. It began actually at the beginning of the 1970s, where the idea of a two-seater sports car, super sports car, was born. It first was get out a concept car called BMW Turbo, and that idea of that to produce the car, the turbo car, was stopped immediately after the world energy crisis in 1973. But in the 1975, 76, the idea occurred again. And then it was Jochen Neerpasch, the head of BMW M GmbH, or it was called BMW Motorsport GmbH at that time. He was the father of the M1, and his idea was to make something like a lean production car out of it. So we just have the idea for the car, we planned the car, we developed the car, but it was produced somewhere else. The idea was at Lamborghini. It was designed somewhere else. It was Ital design, or better known Giugiaro, of course. And it should be the production car for racing cars, especially in the Group A at that time. So it sounds like a good idea, but as always, the problems start very soon. Lamborghini had some problems to build up the prototype, so Neerpasch drove down to Italy, took all the plans, and went to Bauer at Stuttgart, a supplier we often worked together since the 1950s, and asked them to build the car, and they said yes and built the car actually, but we lost a little time, so we were only able to present the car in 1978 in Paris, the Paris Motor Show, but at that time we had a quite finished racing car. So we're not so sure what we should do now, because the racing car wasn't allowed to drive because we had two less production cars for the homologation. So we need about 200 homologation cars. So Neerpasch and his crew had a really fabulous idea. They founded the so-called Pro Car series, BMW M1 Pro Car. It was, to say it roughly, the day before the Formula One racing at the European Grand Prix. The five fastest Formula One pilots racing versus 20 private pilots, all in an M1 Pro Car. I mean, something which would be completely impossible today. But at that time it worked, so we got that really tremendous pictures from pro cars driving in Monte Carlo, and so that made the car very, very, very successful and very famous. The normal production cars were produced up to 1981, round about, let's say, 450 cars, 399 production cars, the rest racing cars. There were some Group A cars, so normal pro cars, and then again some bigger ones, especially one of Schnitzer with about 850 horsepower. The car itself doesn't make any sense at all. You sit inside like, you're a little bit not in a comfortable way. It gets very warm because the engine is right behind you. It's very loud, so you won't miss the radio. You have problems to get in. You have problems to get out of the car, but you can believe me, it's one of the best feelings you can have driving that.
More classic supercars, please visit carshowclassic.com.